Imagine this. You're sitting alone, late at night, the glow of your phone screen lighting up the room. You scroll through old photos, smiles, trips, memories that once felt eternal. But now there's silence. No text, no call, no "I miss you." And here's the question echoing in your mind. If she really misses me, why doesn't she just say it? This is where frustration often begins for men. We're wired to believe that missing someone should naturally equal reaching out. But in reality, that's not how it works, especially with women, and especially when emotions run deep. Many men misinterpret silence as disinterest, rejection, or even cruelty. But the truth is more complicated. Silence can be a test. Silence can be a shield. Silence can be love, disguised as distance. Today, we're going to break down a profound truth. Why women stay silent, even when they miss you deeply, and how Stoic philosophy can help you not only survive that silence, but actually thrive in it. Because here's the reality. When you react poorly to silence, when you chase, beg, or demand answers, you lose your power. You hand over your inner strength. But when you understand silence through the lens of Stoicism, you begin to see it not as rejection, but as a profound opportunity for growth. Section 1. The nature of silence. When a woman stays silent even though she misses you, it's rarely about indifference. In fact, silence often speaks louder than words. But for most men, silence feels unbearable. We want answers, we want clarity, we want control. But let's pause for a second. Why is silence so powerful? Why does it carry such weight? 1. Silence as a form of strength. Think about Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers. He once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When a woman chooses silence, she is often choosing self-control over impulse. Even when her heart aches, she resists the urge to reach out. Not because she doesn't care, but because she wants to protect her dignity, her emotions, or even the relationship itself. To stay silent, especially when emotions are screaming to be expressed, takes enormous strength. It is restraint in action, and Stoicism honors restraint. 2. Silence as protection. Silence isn't always about testing you, it's also about protecting herself. Maybe she fears rejection if she opens up. Maybe she doesn't want to appear needy or weak. Maybe she wants you to take initiative, but she refuses to make the first move. In every case, silence acts as a shield. Words can be vulnerable. Silence feels safer. And isn't that what Stoicism teaches? To guard our emotions, to avoid overreacting, to maintain composure. For many women, silence is their version of Stoicism in relationships. 3. Silence as communication. Here's the paradox. Silence is not emptiness, it's communication. It says, "I feel, but I will not reveal. I miss you, but I will not risk rejection. I want you, but I also want you to come to me." In a world drowning in words, texts, calls, constant notifications, silence is louder than ever. It forces you to reflect. It demands patience. As Epictetus once taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Silence in its own way is a request for you to listen, not to her words, but to her absence. 4. Why men struggle with silence. Men often see silence as hostility, but in reality, it's a mirror. It reflects back your insecurities. If you panic, you text her non-stop. If you fear abandonment, you call endlessly. If you can't handle waiting, you push for answers. And each reaction reveals your weakness, not hers. Stoicism teaches us the opposite, to remain calm amidst uncertainty, to control our reactions, not the situation. When a woman stays silent, your response reveals more about you than about her. 5. The hidden test of silence. But often enough. She wants to see. Will you respect her distance? Will you crumble under pressure? Will you chase, or will you stand strong? Your reaction in these moments defines how she perceives your strength. A man who can remain composed in silence radiates confidence. A man who panics loses her respect instantly. This is why Stoicism is so relevant here. Silence becomes your battlefield, and your weapon is composure. 6. A story of silence. Picture this. John and Sarah broke up after 3 years together. John still loved her, but Sarah felt overwhelmed and needed space. After the breakup, John expected Sarah to eventually reach out. Days passed. Weeks. She didn't call. She didn't text. Nothing. John was convinced she didn't care. But the truth? Sarah missed him deeply. She thought about him every night. She typed out messages but deleted them. Why? Because she wanted to see if John could stand strong without her. She wanted to see if he would respect the silence. John failed the test. He bombarded her with messages, begged her to talk, showed up at her house. Instead of looking strong, he looked desperate. Instead of rebuilding attraction, he destroyed it. Had John embraced silence with stoic patience, working on himself, showing restraint, Sarah might have reached out in time, but his panic cost him her respect. 7. The Stoic lens. So what does Stoicism teach us here? Control what you can. You cannot control her silence, but you can control your mind. Value restraint. Just as she restrains from reaching out, you too can restrain from overreacting. Silence is not rejection. It is simply absence of words, not absence of feeling. The wise man sees silence not as a threat, but as an opportunity to strengthen himself, to detach from neediness, and to develop inner peace. Section 2. When missing you becomes a test, have you ever noticed anything strange? When someone misses you, you expect them to show it, through a text, a call, a sudden visit. That's logical, but in relationships, logic doesn't always lead the way. Emotions do. Pride does. Fear does. So here's the paradox. A woman may stay silent, even while her heart aches for you, because her silence itself becomes a test. Let's break this down. 1. The emotional battlefield. Silence is rarely neutral. It's loaded with meaning. When a woman chooses not to reach out even though she misses you, she's often standing at a crossroads between two emotions: longing, the genuine desire to connect with you, restraint, the choice to hold back, to see what you will do, This conflict creates tension, and that tension becomes a battlefield, not just for her, but for you as well. Here's where Stoicism enters. Stoics taught that life constantly tests us, not with fire and swords, but with everyday trials of patience, ego, and self-control. For men, a woman's silence is exactly such a trial. 2. Why silence feels like a test. Think about it. If she misses you and reaches out, it's easy. There's no risk. But if she stays silent, she learns something important. Will you fall apart without her? Will you chase desperately, or will you remain grounded, strong, and composed? Silence is her way of holding up a mirror to your character. It's not about the absence of contact. It's about revealing what kind of man you are when contact disappears. Remember what Epictetus said. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. Her silence doesn't create your weakness, it reveals it. 3. fear, ego, and the silent test. Now, why do women set this test in the first place? 3 main reasons. Fear of if she's the only one carrying the emotional weight, each reason has one thing in common. Her silence is strategic. It's not empty space. It's intentional. 4. The men who fail the test. Unfortunately, most men fail this test. Why? Because silence creates anxiety, and anxiety fuels poor choices. He texts her 5 times in a row. He calls at midnight asking, "Why aren't you answering?" He floods her with emotional confessions. Each of these reactions screams insecurity. Instead of making her miss him more, it confirms her worst fear, that he cannot handle distance. Stoicism warns us against this trap. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Her silence is an outside event. Your reaction is the only thing you truly control. 5. The men who pass the test. On the other hand, the men who pass this test treat silence differently. They don't chase. They don't panic. They don't force answers. Instead, they focus inward. They improve themselves. They strengthen their body, mind, and character. They embrace silence as a chance to grow. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing her silence, you become more attractive. Your restraint becomes magnetic. Instead of pushing her away, your calmness draws her back. Because here's a hidden truth. Women respect men who can thrive without them. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you are whole, with or without her. 6. Stoicism and the art of waiting. Waiting is one of the hardest things for the human mind. We crave resolution. We want closure. But silence offers neither. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." In other words, the art of waiting is the art of living in the present moment. Instead of obsessing over whether she'll call tomorrow, focus on who you are today. The Stoic man uses silence not as a but as a training ground. He practices patience. He sharpens his discipline. He learns to live without external validation. 7. A story of the test. Let's take a real-world example. Daniel and Emily dated for 2 years. They had a strong connection, but after a heated argument, Emily pulled back. Days passed, no word from her. Daniel knew Emily still cared. He could feel it. But she stayed silent. For Daniel, this was agony. He wanted to call. He wanted to explain. He wanted to beg for another chance. But instead, he remembered a Stoic principle. Control only what you can. So Daniel didn't chase. He didn't drown her in messages. Instead, he used the time to focus on himself, hitting the gym, reconnecting with friends, and even starting a side project he'd been putting off. Weeks later, Emily reached out. She admitted she had missed him the whole time, but had stayed silent to see what he would do. When she saw that he didn't collapse, that he grew stronger, her respect for him deepened. His restraint passed the test. 8. The hidden reward of silence. Here's the thing most men don't realize. Silence is not only a test for you, it's a gift. It gives you the opportunity to rediscover your independence. Prove to yourself that you are not ruled by emotions. Grow stronger, calmer, and wiser. Silence, when seen through the lens of Stoicism, is not rejection but refinement. It shapes you. It tempers you. It teaches you patience, self-control, and resilience. 9. How to pass the test with Stoic grace. So, how do you actually pass this test? Detach from the outcome. Accept that you may or may not hear from her again. Either way, you will be fine. Control your impulses. Resist the urge to chase, beg, or demand answers. Focus inward. Use silence as fuel to improve yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. Practice gratitude. Instead of seeing silence as torture, see it as a chance to grow. Stay grounded. When she does return, you'll be calm, collected, and attractive, not desperate. This is Stoic strength in action. Section 3. The role of ego and pride. There's a saying you've probably heard: pride is the mask we wear when the truth feels too heavy. And in relationships, this mask shows up everywhere. When a woman misses you but refuses to say it, very often the real culprit isn't a lack of feeling, it's ego, it's pride. It's the part of her that whispers, "Don't let him know, don't let him think you're weak, don't give him the power." To understand this, we need to dive deep into the psychology of pride, how it shapes silence, and how Stoic wisdom teaches us to respond without being dragged into the same trap. 1. Why pride matters in silence. Let's start with this truth. Pride and vulnerability cannot coexist easily. When a woman reaches out first, especially after conflict or distance, she exposes herself. She risks rejection. She risks being told, "I don't want you." That risk threatens her pride. So instead, she stays silent, even while she misses you. Her silence protects her ego. She can miss you in secret, in the privacy of her own heart, without risking her dignity. This doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means pride is stronger than longing. And isn't this exactly what Marcus Aurelius warned us about? It is not events that disturb people. It is their judgments about them. It's not the missing that hurts her most. It's the judgment of what might happen if she reveals it. 2. How pride becomes a shield. Ego creates silence because silence feels safer. Think about it. If she doesn't text, she can't be ignored. If she doesn't call, she can't be rejected. If she doesn't confess, she can't be embarrassed. Her pride shields her from pain by convincing her that silence is strength. But here's the irony. The very silence that protects her also hurts her. It keeps her from the connection she craves. It keeps her locked in her own mind. And men often fall into the same trap. We too stay silent out of pride. We too avoid vulnerability. This is why so many relationships end not from lack of love, but from too much ego. 3. The battle of egos. Relationships often become silent battlefields, not because the love is gone, but because pride won't let anyone make the first move. She stays quiet, waiting for you. You stay quiet, waiting for her. Two people, both missing each other, both stubbornly protecting their pride. This is the tragedy of ego. It kills more relationships than betrayal ever could. Seneca put it beautifully. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. Her silence isn't always about you. Often it's her imagination, her fear of what might happen if she shows vulnerability, that keeps her quiet. 4. Stories of ego and silence. Let me share 2 stories to illustrate this. Story 1. The Lost Chance. Mark and Lisa had been in love for years. After a misunderstanding, they stopped speaking. Lisa missed him terribly, but told herself, "If he wants me, he'll call first." Mark felt the same. He thought, "If she misses me, she'll reach out." Neither wanted to lose face. Neither wanted to seem weak. Months passed, then years. The silence hardened into distance, and the relationship faded. Both missed each other. Both wanted to reconnect. But ego built an invisible wall neither dared to cross. Story 2. The victory of humility. Now, contrast that with Daniel and Rachel. After a big argument, Rachel stayed silent. She missed Daniel, but pride kept her from reaching out. Daniel, instead of demanding or chasing, waited patiently. But after a few weeks, he made a calm, humble move. He didn't beg. He didn't accuse. He simply said, "I don't know where we stand, but I wanted you to know I still value you." That small gesture broke Rachel's pride. She admitted she had missed him the entire time. Their silence ended not in loss but in reconciliation. What was the difference? Humility. One chose ego, the other chose openness. 5. How men react to pride-driven silence. When a woman's silence is rooted in pride, men often respond in one of two extreme ways. Chasing desperately. He keeps messaging, calling, trying to force her pride to crumble, but this only fuels her ego, making her feel she holds the power. Retreating bitterly. He withdraws completely, matching her silence with his own pride. This creates a standoff where no one wins. Both extremes are traps. Both reveal weakness, one through desperation, the other through avoidance. The Stoic man chooses a third path. He acknowledges her pride, respects her silence, but does not allow his own ego to dictate bitterness. 6. Stoicism and the ego. Stoicism offers profound wisdom here. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Pride blinds us. It convinces us we're right. It prevents growth. And in relationships, pride prevents healing. When a woman stays silent out of pride, Stoicism tells us not to mirror that pride. Instead, stay grounded in reason. Don't let your ego demand she bow first. Don't let your pride trap you in silence that serves no purpose. But at the same time, Stoicism teaches balance. You do not beg, you do not grovel. You hold your dignity while refusing to play ego games. 7. The male ego trap. Let's be clear, men also weaponize silence out of pride. A man might think, "She should be the one to call me, I did enough," or, "If I wait long enough, she'll break." This kind of pride is just as destructive. It's a silent competition where love loses every time. The Stoic response: drop the competition. You are not in a war against her. You are in a journey toward truth. If silence becomes about winning, you've already lost. 8. Transforming silence into growth. So how do you respond when her silence is driven by pride? Acknowledge it without judgment. Recognize that pride is her shield. Don't take it personally. Stay calm. Don't try to break her silence with desperation. Choose dignity. If you reach out, do it calmly and humbly, not from weakness, but from strength. Focus inward. Her pride is not your battlefield. Your ego is. Master that first. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the best revenge is to be unlike your enemy. If her silence comes from pride, don't let pride control you too. Choose wisdom instead. 9. A Stoic perspective on love and pride. At its core, pride is fear dressed in armor, fear of being hurt, fear of rejection, fear of appearing weak. But Stoicism teaches us to see beyond fear. It teaches us that true strength lies not in guarding our heart with pride, but in facing reality with courage. When a woman stays silent out of pride, you don't need to fight her. You don't need to punish her. You simply need to hold your ground, calmly and with dignity. If she returns, you welcome her with clarity. If she doesn't, you carry on without bitterness. This is love through a Stoic lens, honest, patient, and free from ego. Section 4. What silence really communicates. Silence is deceptive. To the untrained ear, it sounds empty, like nothing is happening. But in reality, silence can be louder than words. It carries signals, emotions, and truths that often matter more than what is spoken. When a woman misses you but stays silent, she isn't doing nothing. She's communicating, just not in the way most men expect. And here's the secret. When you learn to understand silence, you unlock a deeper level of wisdom, both in relationships and in life. 1. Silence as a language. Think of silence as a language all its own. A text not sent says, "I wanted to reach out, but I couldn't." A call not made says, "I thought of you, but I held back." Social media quietness says, "I'm watching, but I won't show you." Every act of silence carries meaning. It's not absence, it's choice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In silence, her thoughts are still alive, her feelings are still real, you just can't hear them directly. 2. Silence as longing. Sometimes silence communicates longing more powerfully than words. Why? Because if she didn't care, she wouldn't think twice. Indifference doesn't require silence, it simply moves on. But when she misses you, silence becomes her way of wrestling with that longing. She wants to reach out but doesn't. That very hesitation reveals depth of feeling. In fact, longing often expresses itself most loudly in silence. 3. Silence as fear. Another powerful message silence carries is fear. She may be afraid of rejection, looking weak. Reopening old wounds. Losing self-respect. So instead of reaching out, she stays quiet. Her silence communicates, "I miss you, but I'm scared to admit it." Seneca's wisdom echoes here. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Her silence may not be about what you would actually say. It's about what she imagines you might say. Fear of the unknown keeps her quiet. 4. Silence as anger or hurt. Not all silence is soft. Sometimes it communicates anger. When she misses you but stays silent, it can also mean, "I want you to feel what I felt," or "I'm still hurt and I don't want to forgive yet." This is silence as punishment, not healthy, not wise, but very human. The Stoic approach here is crucial. Don't react emotionally. Don't try to force her silence open. Instead, observe calmly. Accept that her silence may be about her pain, not your worth. 5. Silence as respect for herself. There's another angle. Sometimes her silence is an act of self-respect. She misses you, yes. But maybe she feels reaching out would compromise her boundaries. Maybe she decided, "I won't be the one to break this silence first." This doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she values her self-control more than her impulse. And isn't this exactly what Stoicism preaches? To master the self, even when emotions run high. 6. Silence as a signal to you. Here's why. Men often get it wrong. They think silence means rejection. They panic. They chase. But in reality, silence often says, "I'm waiting to see what you'll do. I want you to prove your strength. I miss you, but I won't risk more than you risk." Her silence becomes a signal, a way of inviting you to reveal your character. This is why Stoicism teaches patience. If you misinterpret silence, you destroy the chance it's creating. 7. A story of silent communication. Let's illustrate this with a story. Michael and Anna broke up after a rough patch. Anna missed him deeply, but refused to reach out. Instead, she stayed silent. Michael assumed silence meant she was over him. In frustration, he messaged her angrily, "I guess you never cared." What Michael didn't know was that Anna had written and deleted a dozen messages to him. She wanted to reconnect, but feared rejection. His angry outburst confirmed her fear, pushing her even further away. If Michael had paused, if he had read her silence as hesitation rather than rejection, the story might have ended differently. 8. How to hear silence with Stoicism. So how can you actually listen to silence without panicking? Pause before reacting. Don't rush to fill the silence with desperate words. Look beyond yourself. Realize her silence may be about her fears, not about your flaws. Detach from the outcome. Accept that silence doesn't mean the end. It just means a moment of waiting. Stay calm. As Marcus Aurelius taught, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Her silence is neutral. Your interpretation gives it meaning. 9. Silence as opportunity. When you reframe silence, you see it not as torture, but as opportunity. Opportunity to strengthen your patience. Opportunity to improve yourself. Opportunity to prove you don't crumble without cons. Tant validation. Silence becomes a stage on which you can display stoic resilience. And paradoxically, that very resilience makes you more attractive. When you can handle silence with calm dignity, you show that you are not dependent. You are whole. 10. The dangers of misinterpreting silence. If you misread silence, you risk chasing when she just needed space. Attacking when she just needed courage. Giving up when she was about to reach out. This is why silence requires wisdom. You don't overreact. You don't assume the worst. You hold steady, like the Stoics taught, knowing that time will reveal the truth. Section 5. How men should respond. Here's the brutal truth. Most men destroy attraction not because she stopped caring, but because they reacted poorly to her silence. They panic. They chase. They beg. They try to force connection. And in doing so, they reveal their insecurity, the very thing she was silently testing in the first place. So let's talk about the Stoic way to respond when a woman misses you but stays silent. This isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about embodying strength, composure, and self-respect. 1. First rule, do not chase. The first and most important rule, don't chase her silence. Why? Because chasing places her on a pedestal. Signals that you're desperate. Gives her ego more power. When you bombard her with messages or calls, you're essentially saying, my peace depends on you. And no man should ever hand over his peace like that. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. If her silence enslaves you, you're not free. 2. Second rule, embrace stillness. Instead of reacting, learn to sit with the silence. Silence can feel uncomfortable, even painful, but Stoicism teaches us that discomfort is not an enemy, it's training. Every moment you resist texting is a rep in the gym of discipline. Every day you don't beg for her attention strengthens your emotional muscles. Every time you stay calm, you prove to yourself that you are enough. Stillness is strength. 3. Third rule, redirect your energy. Instead of pouring energy into worrying about her, pour it into yourself. Hit the gym. Work on your career. Learn a new skill. Reconnect with friends. Build the version of yourself you've been postponing. When you redirect your energy, two things happen. You stop feeding anxiety. You grow stronger, more attractive, and more fulfilled. This is the essence of Stoicism, focusing only on what is within your control. 4. Fourth rule, don't play games. Some men try to fight silence with silence. They think, I'll ignore her harder than she ignores me. This isn't strength, it's immaturity. Stoicism is not about playing games, it's about mastering yourself. Your silence shouldn't be an act of revenge, it should be an act of peace. If you choose not to reach out, do it because you're calm, not because you're trying to manipulate. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't argue, don't plot, don't scheme. Be the man who embodies strength without bitterness. 5. Fifth rule. If you reach out, do it calmly. Now let's be clear, Stoicism doesn't forbid you from reaching out, but if you do, it must come from a place of calm strength, not desperation. Wrong way. Why are you ignoring me? Do you not care anymore? Please talk to me. Right way. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to say I appreciate the time we had together. No pressure. Just checking in. See the difference? One reveals weakness. The other shows calm confidence. Your tone must be neutral, respectful, and free from expectation. 6. Sixth rule. Respect her silence. If she chooses not to respond, respect it. Do not double text. Do not guilt trip. Do not escalate. Respecting her silence shows that you respect her choices and yourself. It demonstrates maturity, patience, and composure. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Don't waste your time begging for answers she's not ready to give. Live your life. Build your strength. 7. A story of two responses. Let me illustrate with two contrasting stories. Story 1. The chaser, Tom, dated Megan for 6 months. After a fight, Megan pulled back. She missed him, but stayed silent. Tom panicked. He texted her 15 times in 2 days, called repeatedly, and even showed up at her workplace. Megan felt suffocated. Her attraction plummeted. The silence she once used to test Tom now became permanent. Story 2. The Stoic, Jason and Clara broke up after a year together. Clara stayed silent even though she missed him. Jason noticed her absence but didn't panic. He focused on work, fitness, and his hobbies. After a month, Clara reached out. She admitted she had missed him the entire time, but had stayed silent to see if he'd collapse without her. His calmness proved his strength. Her respect grew, and so did her attraction. Same silence, two different outcomes. The difference? Response. 8. Silence as a stage for your character. Think of silence as a stage. Every choice you make, whether to chase, wait, or focus inward, reveals your character. She is watching, even if you don't realize it. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to prove yourself to her, you prove yourself to her. When you remain calm, patient, and focused on growth, you display the very strength she was silently searching for. 9. The Stoic man's checklist for silence. Let's put this into a practical checklist. When she's silent, ask yourself, am I chasing or am I calm? Am I reacting emotionally or acting rationally? Am I improving myself or obsessing over her? Am I respecting her silence or trying to break it? Am I letting pride control me or am I grounded in wisdom? If you can answer these honestly, you'll know whether you're responding like a stoic or like a desperate man. 10. The reward of proper response. When you respond with stoic calmness, one of two outcomes will happen. She will return, draw, and by your strength and composure. She won't return, but you will emerge stronger, wiser, and more independent. Either way, you win. Because the goal isn't just to get her back. The goal is to master yourself, and once you do that, No silence can shake you. Section 6. Turning silence into growth. Silence doesn't have to be torture. In fact, if you approach it the Stoic way, silence can become one of the most powerful opportunities for growth in your life. Think of it this way. Most men see silence as a void, but Stoics see it as a canvas. What you paint on that canvas, fear, desperation, or strength, is entirely up to you. 1. Reframing silence as a gift. Instead of asking, "Why isn't she talking to me?" ask, "What is this silence giving me a chance to build?" Silence gives you time, space, perspective. It removes constant distraction and forces you to face yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." Her silence isn't the enemy, it's the space in which you rediscover yourself. 2. Building patience. Silence is the ultimate teacher of patience. When you resist the urge to react, to text, to beg, you strengthen your self-control. Patience is not passive, it's active discipline. Think of a blacksmith forging iron. Each strike strengthens the blade. In the same way, every day you endure silence without breaking is another strike, shaping you into a man of patience. 3. Building self-sufficiency. Silence forces you to confront a hard truth. Do you need her attention to feel whole? If the answer is yes, silence will feel unbearable. But if you learn to thrive without her validation, silence becomes freedom. Stoicism teaches us man conquers the world by conquering himself. Self-sufficiency doesn't mean isolation. It means you enjoy companionship, but don't depend on it for your happiness. Her silence becomes a mirror. It reflects whether you've built your identity on her or on yourself. 4. Building emotional strength. Most men fear silence because it stirs up emotions. Anxiety, loneliness, rejection. But what if you welcomed those emotions instead? Instead of suppressing them, observe them, name them, let them rise and fall. The Stoics believed emotions are not enemies, they are signals. They tell you what matters to you. When you learn to sit with your emotions in silence, you become emotionally unshakable. 5. Using silence for self-reflection. Silence is the perfect space for asking deep questions. What kind of man am I becoming? Am I living according to my values? Am I chasing love, or am I building strength? What habits are holding me back? Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short life to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Use silence to stop wasting time and start aligning with your true values. 6. Silence as training for detachment. The Stoics prize detachment, not coldness, but freedom from dependency. When she is silent and you don't crumble, you train your ability to detach. Detachment means you love without clinging. You miss without breaking. You care without losing yourself. This doesn't weaken your love, it strengthens it. Because true love can't exist without freedom. 7. A story of growth through silence. Let's bring this to life with a story. David was deeply attached to his girlfriend. When she grew distant and stayed silent, he panicked, but instead of chasing, he decided to focus inward. He started journaling every morning. He picked up a book on Stoicism. He began training his body and mind. Weeks turned into months. By the time she finally reached out, David had transformed. He wasn't desperate. He wasn't broken. He was calm, grounded, and strong. Ironically, his growth during her silence made him more attractive than ever. But here's the twist. David no longer needed her validation. He had discovered his own strength. Her silence gave him the gift of self-mastery. 8. Turning silence into momentum. Silence creates a vacuum. Instead of filling it with fear, fill it with momentum. Learn that skill you've been delaying. Start that side hustle. Travel. Reconnect with your purpose. When she's silent, the world is still speaking. The question is, are you listening? Marcus Aurelius again guides us. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Use the silence to become. 9. The inner victory. At its core, silence is not about her. It's about you. If you emerge from silence calmer, stronger, and wiser, you've won. Even if she never comes back, you've already gained something priceless. Mastery of yourself. And mastery of self is the foundation of everything else. Love, success, leadership, peace. 1, 0. Preparing for whatever comes next. Finally, silence is training for the unknown. Because whether she comes back or not, life will always give you more silences, moments of uncertainty, waiting, not knowing. If you can face this silence with strength, you can face anything. Business setbacks. Family struggles. Personal doubts. Silence isn't empty. It's preparation. Section 7. When silence breaks, the final lesson. Every silence has an end. Maybe she reaches out. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe you decide to move on. Maybe life writes a new chapter entirely. But one thing is certain, silence never lasts forever. It always breaks, either with words, with actions, or with acceptance. The question is, who will you be when the silence ends? 1. When she reaches out, sometimes her silence ends with a message. A simple, "Hey, I was thinking about you. How have you been?" When this happens, most men crumble. They explode with emotion, anger, or desperation. But the Stoic man responds differently. He is calm. He is measured. He is kind, but not needy. You don't need to pour out your heart in the first message. Instead, keep it light, respectful, and steady. Why? Because your strength isn't in what you say, it's in the composure you carry. 2. When she doesn't return, sometimes silence doesn't end with her return. Sometimes the silence simply confirms that the chapter has closed. This can be painful, but Stoicism reminds us, don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, and your life will flow well. Epictetus. Her silence then becomes your teacher, guiding you toward acceptance. You learn to let go, not with bitterness, but with peace. Because the end of her silence doesn't have to be the end of your growth. It's simply the beginning of a new path. 3. Responding without overreacting. Whether she returns or not, your mission is the same. Remain grounded. If she texts, you don't celebrate. If she stays silent, you don't collapse. If she comes back, you welcome with calm. If she doesn't, you move on with strength. Your dignity remains untouched. This is the heart of Stoicism. Your inner state is yours alone. Nothing external, not even her silence or her return, can shake it. 4. The power of graceful closure. Sometimes silence ends with you. Maybe you decide to send one final message, not out of desperation, but out of closure. Something like, "I respect the silence. I wish you well." And then you release it. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the courage to accept endings without fear. It's the strength to walk forward without regret. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Closure is not the end of love, it's the beginning of freedom. 5. What silence teaches about you. At the end of the day, silence is not about her, it's about you. Did you learn patience? Did you grow stronger? Did you master your emotions? Did you rise above desperation? If the answer is yes, then silence has already served its purpose. Because a man who can thrive in silence can thrive in anything. 6. A story of silence breaking. Let's close with one final story. Ethan dated Sarah H. for 2 years. When she pulled away, she stayed silent for months. Ethan, instead of chasing, turned inward. He grew stronger. He built his business. He worked on his body and his mind. One day, Sarah texted, "I miss you." Ethan smiled, but instead of rushing back, he paused. He realized something profound. He had missed her, but he no longer needed her to feel whole. He responded warmly, but without desperation. Whether they reconnected or not no longer mattered. He had already won. Because he had mastered himself. That's the ultimate lesson. Silence breaks. But who you become during the silence matters more than how the silence ends. 7. The Stoic conclusion. So let's bring this full circle. Women sometimes stay silent even when they miss you, not because they don't care, but because silence is their way of protecting themselves, testing you, or wrestling with their own emotions. But your role as a man is not to decode every moment of silence. Your role is to master yourself within it. Don't chase. Don't collapse. Don't hate. Don't cling. Instead, grow, build, reflect, strengthen. Because whether her silence ends with reunion or farewell, you will walk forward with dignity. And dignity, my friend, is more powerful than any answer you could have begged for. Marcus Aurelius leaves us with this timeless wisdom. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Her silence is outside you. Your strength is within you. Choose strength.